Welcome to another Figuring Out Japan video. We sell all the best Japanese figurines and collectibles straight out of Japan, and you can find out more details about us in the description of this video, including our Facebook page and our eBay store, including the page to buy this particular figure, which is the SCultures Series 4 Sanji. So 2015, Banpresto released the Series 4 of the SCultures Colosseum series, and that included 8 figures, which was Ace, Kid, Buggy, Luffy, Nami, Sabo, Zoro, and Paulie. There you go, I did remember them all. But this was actually a special release that they did at the end of the year, and they pitted, I think, the two highest voting of the highest voting of the figures from the Series 4. Both of those sculptors then went and made a version of Sanji, and people in Japan could vote which one they liked best, and this one won, and so this was the one that was commercially released. And it's a pretty damn good looking figure. So let's actually just have a look at the box first. So you can see it says here One Piece SCultures Big. And as we go to the side, I actually really like this part here, and you can see the actual name. It's a really nice box as well. It's very nice and glossy, shiny. So there is the sculptor. Some of them don't like to show their real faces. So that was the original sculpt. And then that is the other side. So really nice looking box actually. And then there's the front again. So let's get the box out of the way and have a look at the figure. So it actually comes with five pieces. So you get the base, and then all of the lower half of the body is one piece, and then the top half is another piece, and then the tie is another piece, and then there is actually one more piece, which is the cigarette. So it's a tiny little piece. I didn't bother to get that out and put that in, and that is supposed to go in his hand somehow. It must be a tight fit, but that's meant to go in there. So again, if we just have a look at the box, you can see it in his hand right there. And they actually did the same with the crocodile figure in the SCultures line, and I've seen that a lot of second-hand ones of those sold without the cigarette. So obviously it's a piece that people lose. And it actually was a little bit, I'm sort of skipping ahead here, is one of my complaints to the figure. It was a little bit hard to put together. The tie actually sits in very well, but it was a little bit hard to fit this joint in here. It was a bit tight. And the other thing is, like, this is a fairly dramatic pose. And so usually with these dramatic pose ones, they usually have two and they'll have like another pin or stand that kind of fits in somewhere. I haven't got that with this one. So the whole figure is basically balancing on this foot. Now you can see the center of gravity actually kind of tilts towards the right. You can see most of his body is on the right hand side, and it's quite a tall figure. It's actually about 205 millimeters, so 20.5 centimeters. So again, just as for comparison, that's an iPhone 5 case, and it pretty much comes up to the bottom of his foot there. So it's a pretty tall figure, and so you have that torque from the top. And the pins in his feet actually aren't very deep, so he sits fine, right? I can touch him and he's not going to fall. You can see he's sort of vibrating a bit. He's not falling. But if I actually just move that a little bit, you can see just how easily it pops out. So now these aren't really toys. They're collectible figures, but I thought I would just point that out, that it isn't the most steady figure if you're going to touch it and move it. So you can just see the depth there of those pins. It's a very shallow pin, and that's pretty much what's holding all of this up. So you can see his foot there has that extra bit on the bottom, and there's the holes for them, which you can't see too well because we've lost focus, but there they are there. So they just plonk in there. So he's pretty steady, but you can't really touch him. But aside from that, this is a very detailed figure. You have some nice detailing on his shoes. It's a bit hard to show. There's a better view of it there, so you can see the little pattern. And the same with the buttons on his jacket and on his cufflinks there, on his sleeve. And even the green shirt there, you can see the detailing there. You get the belt, and again some buttons on the pants and the chain. So that is not a separate piece, that's attached. I don't think it's going to break too easily, but obviously if you really yanked that, it would come off. And again, you just see the nice creases in the pants, and he's really got that whole roundhouse kick motion going. That is actually a correct term, a roundhouse kick. And I really like the you can see the very nice molding on the fingers, the buttons on the shirt, and even the neck muscles there, and even his hair, just really nice detailing. You can see that all through the hair. Like most figurines just kind of does it in chunks. If I just show a Vegeta here, you can see that it's just kind of one big chunk or different chunks of hair, but here they've actually got, I can't say individual strands, but it kind of gives that impression. So just a really nice detailed look. And then my favorite part, or most impressive, what I think part of the figure, is the eye. Rather than actually have the eye, again, if I just go back to a Vegeta here, the eye is sort of just printed on. It's a very sort of two-dimensional thing. But if you actually have a look at the eye in this figure, and it's pretty hard to show, but you can actually see how it actually, the mold goes inwards, and the eye itself is actually a separate piece inside the head. So it is an extremely realistic looking eye. It's not just a flat printed eye, it's just very detailed. And that is quite possibly the I know it's just a small thing, but that's quite possibly the most detailed or best sculpt of an eye that I've seen on a figure. It's very, very impressive and really looks good. So overall, I think this is a fantastic figure. It really doesn't knock over that easily, but you know, if you're really going to touch it, it will fall. But a very nice dramatic pose. I actually like that they were able to pull this off without having to have another ugly rod, you know, supporting it. Some of these you know, action pose figures have that, but you know, you sort of got all these rods going in and it doesn't really look as good. But overall, I think this is a very, very impressive figure. Really glad that Banpresto decided to do this as a special release at the end of 2015. So that is the Sanji. If I read the whole name, it is the Ura Zoukei or Choujo Kessen One Piece Sanji Banpresto figure, Colosseum 2015. There it is. Fantastic figure to add to your collection, and really is a must-have if you're a Sanji fan. So thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video.